What is the one thing in your everyday carry bag that you use more than anything else? That's what we're covering today in Survival Martial Arts. The most used item in my everyday carry, my core bag. Sensei Keith, Survival Martial Arts, and no surprise, the number one item I use the most out of my core bag is flashlights. I carry 4 different flashlights in my core bag, and there's a specific reason for each one of those. They've changed over time. So let's take them one at a time and cover why I carry them and where they go. All right, the first light that I carry is this little single AAA LED. I think it's about 50 lumens, 4750 lumens. And it goes in my first aid kit. This is small enough, it fits right inside of there, and I can use this for a whole lot of different reasons. But what I like about this one is that it doesn't have a button on the end. It is a twist to turn it on. And the reason that's important is that I've had many flashlights in the past that I have it all charged up, ready to go, new batteries, and then I go to pull it out and the battery's dead because the button got depressed while it was in the bag. So I found this and I added this to my first aid kit a while ago, and it works really great. One thing that I find very helpful with this is because I can turn the light on and tuck it under my paracord bracelet here and have actual hands-free. Whatever I'm working on, I can see what I'm doing, and I can put it on the bottom. Same sort of thing. Whatever I'm working on, I can have direct light on what I'm trying to do. And medically, you only have so many hands, and having a little hands-free is a great option. If I'm even in conjunction with a headlight, I would still use this. So this little guy is really handy, and I would never do without that. That one would stay in my first aid kit. So the second one is a double AAA. Now see, the theme here is that I'm sticking with AAA. Everything that I carry in my core bag is run by AAA. There's no AA. Just the AAA, because it's just trying to cut down on what I have to carry. So this one stays easily accessible on the outside of my bag, on one of the side compartments. I could pull it off. The advantage to this one is that you can push it just to start it and put it on. It's a very simple on-off flashlight. There's no strobe, there's no low mode, there's no this is more for task lighting, or if I have somebody else with me who I need to give a light to hold something for me to see what I'm doing. The advantage of this is the batteries are easier to exchange than a tactical flashlight, and they will last quite a bit longer. So once I'm already set up somewhere, I can just turn this on and hang it. Like if I'm in my tent or something, I can hang this from the rafters. It'll just give me a little bit of light, and it'll last quite a while. It's not the most used flashlight in the kit. It is, but it's there for its redundancy, one, and it is there as a very specific tool when I need it. But another helpful to have, the same battery source is really helpful. The third one is the actual tactical flashlight. I think it's about 1,000 lumens, and again, I'm not one on a bunch of different features and functions. I like on and off. Low mode would be helpful, but that's why I carry the smaller light for that purpose. This thing is for me to see where I'm going. And the reason I went to this, I used to just carry the double AAA one, but over time what I've realized is that if you're in the woods at night and you're trying to move around, and this primarily comes from hunting season, that when you're moving through the woods, it can be very disorienting if you can't see the trees around you. If all you can see is the little bit in front of you, it gets very hard to navigate. And it's one thing if you're walking on a well-established path, on a trail, or on a side of a road. You don't need a whole lot of light. You can get away with fewer lumens. But in in the woods where you're trying to actually navigate to be able to see the terrain, the features, to know if you're going uphill or downhill, or to see something off in the distance, a stronger flashlight is definitely helpful. And if I'm working on something and working on my truck or something, or if I'm trying to find something underneath the seats of the truck, I'm trying to dig something out, this is usually what I go to. It's easier accessible. It's right in the top of my bag. I just reach in and I grab it out. But this is not the one that I use the most. It's helpful in most situations, but it is definitely it's not the top of the list. So as we went up here, we have the 50 lumens, just to say this is 100 lumens and this is about 1,000 lumens. They have their own very specific need. But the one that I use the most is the good old Energizer headlamp. And I have two headlamps, actually, this one, and I have the LED headlight, which this thing is, I haven't charged it in a while, but it is super, super bright. It is, I don't even know. I think it says 3,000 lumens, and they're not joking. And the reason I have this is specifically from hunting. I've used this all the time. I use this when I'm loading my truck in the wintertime when it's dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I use it when I'm moving tools in and out of the truck, when I'm around the house. I use it for, I put it on when I'm sanding drywall or working in a closet to be able to see shadows, and it just gives me hands-free. If I'm putting trim inside a closet, I'll use this. If I'm working underneath cabinets, adjusting drawer glides and all that stuff, I will use this. I use it for, there's not many days that I don't pull it out and use it for something. And even specifically just as a flashlight itself, because you can hold it by itself and see what you have to do, and it'll do most tasks on its own. All these little click modes, but you still have to go through the red, which hiking, for hiking purposes, the red is very helpful for light discipline, and it's something that we'll cover in some more shelter courses in the future. But light discipline can be very important if you're trying not to be seen, or if you're camping in the woods or spending time outside and you just don't want to make a lot of attention to yourself. The red is also if you're sleeping in a tent in the middle of the night and you want to get up and you have to go out and use the bathroom, or if you want to just look at something inside, the red is really handy. And I like the fact that it comes on first, because you can just use that and then shut it off and then go back doing what you're doing, and it doesn't mess up your night vision, and you don't end up with seeing spots for a while. But this stays right in the very top of my core bag. There's a little zipper compartment on the top that I pull this out of. This is 300 lumens, which is a little brighter than the pen light, but not as bright as the tactical light. And it's 1/10 of what this thing is. And the reason I got this is it uses the same batteries as the tactical light. There's actually 2 of them in this one, and there's 1 in here. And I do have on that note, I do have a backup battery source for this that I can put 3 AAAs in it and put it in there. And it's not quite as bright, but it'll still function. If that dies, it's not a useless hunk of aluminum. I can put the batteries in it and keep it going. But the reason I got this 3000 one is I had set up my tree stand, had everything all done pre-season, and I was getting out there, and I put the little reflective tacks into the tree. And opening day, I went out there at, 4 o'clock in the morning, 3:30. Wanted to get up there and in my stand a half an hour before sunrise. And so I had such a hard time, it was just pitch dark. I had such a hard time seeing those tacks. I had to almost walk up to every tree and shine my light at it, my headlight, to see if in fact it had the tack on it, because I was so disoriented, I barely even made it to my stand. Stayed there all day and came home in the dark and did the same thing and tried to navigate my way out of the woods. So after that, I switched to using this But again, this is not a core bag item. This is not something I would carry with me, but it does have its very specific purposes. But this would stay in my core bag. If I had to walk at night, I would use this. If I had to work on anything with my hands free, if my truck breaks down on the side of the road and I have to change a tire, this is a whole lot better than trying to hold a flashlight in your mouth. And until you've done that, you don't really understand. But this is the this is by far the most used item that I keep in my core bag. And if you do not have one of these, this is $20 from Home Depot. It's an Energizer. And specifically, let me tell you why I use Energizer, is because I leave this in my truck all the time. It freezes and it stays in my core bag, or it stays in the truck, and wherever it is. When you have batteries inside a piece of electronics, now when the batteries start corroding and they're causing problems, a lot of time that's caused by dissimilar metals touching each other with the presence of the electricity. So in order to alleviate that, if you have the same metals touching, well, this is just my theory, is that the same metals aren't going to corrode and they're going to last longer. And I've never had them corrode in this. And this is probably my 9th one of these. I buy them, destroy them, lose them, give them away. The guys at work end up taking them for something and they become part of their collection. But with the metal contacts in here being made by Energizer, I would just like to assume that they're made from the same metal that the Energizer batteries are made from. So it reduces my chance of having corrosion inside there. Typically, the batteries don't last me long enough that I have to worry about it. I go through them quite a bit because, like I said, I use this thing a lot. My theory here is that if you understand the why, you'll find a how. Is that when you're buying flashlights, now you notice I didn't mention any brands besides Energizer, which is just a cheap Home Depot version that they carry. I don't have any brand specifics, and I'm not going to recommend to you which one's better than another. I haven't bought every flashlight out there, so I don't know which one is going to work better, which one's going to last longer. I haven't tested any of these. The ones that I have work very well, and they've lasted for a while. My tactical light, I think I paid $40 for. I bought it in a kit at Tractor Supply. It actually has a little piece to it, so you can mount it on a rail on a shotgun or a rifle. It's really got a gun light. It's got a trigger on it, but you pull the thing off and you put the little push button cap on the end, and you have a single mode flashlight, and it works great, and it's plenty bright for what I need it to be. So that's been great, but I don't have any brand specifics to recommend. But what I will tell you is that when you're going to buy a flashlight, some of the things you want to look for is, we talked about lumens a lot. Now what lumen is it is a measurement of the amount of light that actually comes out of the flashlight. So with the headlights, they're the same thing. If the light comes out at a huge V-shaped, all of that light in that V counts towards the lumens. And so when you have something that says it, is 12,000 lumens or whatever, it will be very bright, but it doesn't mean it's going to shine a very specific beam. So when you get into beam strength, you're getting into a candela it used to be candle power. Pretty much a candle power and one candela they're almost exactly the same. I think candle power is 0.98 something candelas. But a candela is just a unit of measure that they use that measures the intensity of the light. So if a lumen is all of the light, how bright that light is shining on one spot is the candela. So when you look at buying a flashlight, you might want to make sure that you get one that focuses down to, and so when you see what the candela rating is, I think so. I've seen some of them at like 4,000, some of them are like 6,500, and it depends on how bright you want it to be. Now, as a martial artist, I always believe in being ready for combat, and I don't consider the flashlight a weapon. It is a tool. It is a tool to use. You could use it to disorient somebody, and I would only use that if I already had it in my hand. If I had it in my hand and I heard somebody in my house, I'd probably shut the light off till I could get close enough. Then I could shine it in their face and to use it that way. But the strobe feature, I'm not a big fan of it. I think it's more just a pain in the butt trying to click through all the 15 settings to get the thing. I just want the light to come on. I want it to work. I want to see what I'm doing. And same thing, if from a tactical standpoint, I don't want to try to remember what is going to happen when I turn that flashlight on. If I go to click it in somebody's face and the red comes on, it really defeats the purpose. So what I want is something that's going to be quick, easy, and reliable. On, off, simple. So when you're getting a flashlight, you might want to consider that as well. A lot of them have a bunch of functions, and sometimes in some of the better ones you can actually program out the strobe light or program out what the high and low. I don't think it would be bad to have a high and a low feature as long as the high came on first, and then you could dim it down to low. But that's just not the light I have. Maybe in the future, if I end up upgrading or finding another one, that might be something I look for. But until this one dies, I don't believe in buying 15 of something just to find something that works a little bit better. It's all about resource allocation. I want to invest the money and the resources that I have into the next item that is going to be most useful for my preparations. And to buy multiples of something I already have isn't the most practical. For a flashlight, I could probably buy, for a decent flashlight, I could probably buy a few hundred rounds of ammunition. So, I mean, take a choice. One's going to be way more valuable than the other. So that's it for now. The most useful tool in my core bag is a flashlight. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and I'll see you next time when we cover a next topic on the core bag classes. Thanks. All right, just a little additional footage. Took the mic off and everything, so the audio might not be as good, but just showing where I put all these things. The single battery LED goes in the first aid kit. This is a wilderness first aid kit. We'll cover that in the future. That goes in the outside pocket on the bottom. My single double battery LED goes on the side here. My tack flashlight, that one goes in here. It just lays right down here in the bottom of this multi-purpose pouch that I have. And my headlamp just goes in this little, this thing is only this big, so not really large. But that's my go-to pocket for just about anything. Keep a few Band-Aids in there, tissues, sweetener for my coffee, and a couple extra batteries. All right, that's it. This time I'm certain. Again, thanks for watching.